Okay, video has started. Let's start in 3, 2, 1. Hello to a spoiler cast that we haven't done one of these in a while, but I think a game that is the quality of Prey certainly deserves a little bit extra of our time. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me for this fantastic spoiler cast is Knobs.
What's up?
And Moonpear.
Not a mimic.
Not a mimic.
Not a mimic.
You can trust me. Not a mimic. Wink. I feel like this might be a little bit hard to cover, and we don't really have a game plan here, so it's probably going to be sort of
a little piecemeal,
bouncing around a lot. We talked a lot about the beginning of the game on TVGP proper, so I feel like we can sort of skip past the titles are cool, it's a simulation, we broke out of it, yay, mimics. I think one of the first things that we ran into that I don't think we really wanted to spoil on the show proper was the alternate history with the space station getting repurposed.
Yes.
I think for me that was one of the early turning points of realizing how Arcane was really putting a lot of time into treating this game's lore with respect and making it really cool, walking from station to station and hearing that alternate history.
I mean, I love the models in that room as well. Like, that's like the museum room has got all the models of like the original spacesuits, the original Neuromod concept, and it's got the actual station itself as well is in that room.
I like
the station. I really
like
of it. The walking history of it, going up to the panels and having a description of where this is in history, and then the time frame leading up to almost present day.
It's like 2038, 2032, something like that when the game takes place. And I liked the alternate history of, the US and the USSR working together to do this stuff in secret, back in the 60s where they first find the Typhon, and trying to keep it under wraps and trying to figure out what it is and how they can take advantage of it.
Just like anything else, like trying to take advantage of something you don't understand going horribly wrong.
Well, and I like the sales pitch of the Neuromods. Knobs mentioned early on that one of his favorite scenes is where you pick up that first Neuromod and it has that exploded skull, and you get to see like where it goes and how it affects the skull.
Like, has the eye socket, the receiver for it. One
of the things that I really liked is how Prey manages to introduce you to the Neuromods early on, saying, well, we created these by capturing the neural activity of geniuses and scientists and athletes and using that to compare before and after brain performance gave us these Neuromods that will, enable you to learn these new things yourself. And I was like, great, cool, that makes sense. And then by the end of the game, it's like, no, man, that's just Typhon stuff. It's like, crap.
Yeah, that is way too good to be true. Like how they're learning how to do, or how that, when they got in that scene where you were playing a song and everyone's talking about how they're learning all these instruments through these Neuromods and these memory implants. Was astounding.
I mean, my favorite part is the fact that at the start of the game, you get the marketing side of things. You get the public-facing description of what they do, and it basically doesn't really explain to you that the reason these things exist is because people are dying essentially for these skills to be able to be transferred as well.
The quote-unquote volunteers.
Yes. Which is why I sent you that screenshot on Twitter, because I thought that was just way too good when I saw it the second playthrough. The welcome volunteers all happy and cheery. It's like,
Yeah, and you find out the volunteers are just prisoners from Earthside. Yeah, and the other thing I really liked about the Neuromods was this idea that, and this played into my decision in the ending was it takes a snapshot when you put a neuromod in, and then when that neuromod is removed, it erases all of your memory and removes all of those skills back to the point where you first installed the neuromod. And finding out that's why you're repeating your days as Morgan at the beginning, and then that playing into very late at the game where you find out that you were supposed to repeat 5 days in that experiment, and so far it has gone on for 3 weeks, seemingly against your will. And it's sort of like, wait, that's not all right. Like,
no.
None of this is... The more I find out, the more I realize I'm going to blow this thing the hell up.
Like, I mean, that's the best thing I think about it is as you, for lack of a better way to phrase this, as you're exploring the station, you are essentially climbing the corporate ladder and getting more and more background information. Like, at the start, you get the surface level, but then by the time you're at the end and you're hacking into, like, Alex's emails, you're getting the deep, dark secrets that only the CEOs and execs know.
Yeah, you're rebuilding your memory as one of the 2 people that's running Telos 1.
Yeah, and the funny thing is your parents are the CEO of.
They're like chairman of the board.
They're chairmen of the board, and they're ready to pull the plug.
Yeah, well, they do pull the plug at one point when Steve Bloom, as Dahl, comes in and says, "We are shutting this thing down. We're here to save you." Blat blat blat.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I did like that about. I liked that about Prey a lot, where I really did feel like the amnesia in games. Amnesia a lot of times it doesn't feel like it's earned, where it's like, oh, something blew up and I hit my head and I have to relearn all my skills. This one is like, no, because of the work you're doing and because you're putting yourself in the experiments to try and push them further and faster than they were before. There's these side effects of maybe you signed up for this, but maybe you didn't.
Maybe you didn't.
Who's? I think the best question is, who's pushing for these experiments? Is it Morgan and you don't remember, or is it Alex who's preying on your lack of memory? And, like, recording you while you're under the effects of these neuromods. You're all jacked up, and he's like, "Okay, go say the stuff. Like, hold the newspaper. Say what I told you to say."
I mean, that's the best thing is, like, when you're reading about yourself, for lack of a better way to put it, when you're reading about Morgan, you do get the impression this dude is a legit genius. Like, he's redesigning the Looking Glass technology to make it even better.
Yeah.
He came up with neuromods himself.
Yeah.
Like
this is your technology.
This guy, he's the one kind of responsible. But I have to ask, like, did you guys do much reading about the previous incident?
A little bit. I feel like I didn't find a ton of emails about it.
I've got, Grant, I got a few weeks ahead of you guys on this.
Yeah, Moon just finished it. I finished it like 2 weeks ago, and Knobs is probably about 2 weeks outside of that, too.
I'm on the first round of Amnesia runs here.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, there's a couple of books, and I believe the head of security, the one who doesn't like the U's, the reason she doesn't like them is because she's already worked for Trident, which is the company, I believe. She's worked for them before, and previously when she worked for them, it was on Earth in a
TranStar.
TranStar.
Thank you.
Yeah,
she worked for them on a location in Earth where I believe they did have the mimics down there too. Then containment was broken, and then basically they nuked the entire facility to make sure that none of the Typhon got away.
Right.
And she basically helped with the evacuation of that facility and lost a whole bunch of soldiers and lost a whole bunch of people. But
she's the one with the black chick with the main face, right?
I believe so, yeah. She's the one in the cargo bay who's in charge of the cargo bay.
Yeah.
Like, she's so bitter towards you guys because she saw what happened last time this thing was tried.
Yeah, and it's happening again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she agreed to be there because she wanted it to not happen again. She even, like, if you get her psych eval thing, she even says in the interview with the psychiatrist, she's like, back then on Earth, it was an accident waiting to happen, just like right here, just like right now.
Yeah.
And it will happen again.
Yeah.
Bottom line, no one wants to be safe. No one's safe. Like,
yeah.
It's like the person telling you shouldn't mess with that. Or the stove's hot, but you have to touch it because you have to learn that lesson yourself.
Yeah.
No one in that situation, upper management's going to believe you until it happens to them.
Well, and it's interesting reading a lot of Morgan's stuff where he or she is really trying to push. They believe in this research so much that they're really trying to push so hard to try and get it to a stable point where they can take advantage of it more and more and learn stuff faster and learn more stuff, and it just unsurprisingly blows up in their face. And I think the thing that I wanted to talk the most about on TVGP, and you can't because it's the core of the game, is of the three factions in this game, who's right? Is Morgan and January right? You know, do you preserve do you get rid of the Typhon and do you preserve the neuromods and the station? You know, is Alex right? And I don't remember what he wants. Seemingly, I think he wants to keep them too.
Well, the genius thing that they did with the game and the story was they actually made that argument for a moral decision. Who's to say which side is right? Are you on the side of progress or are you on the side of preservation?
Right, and both sides seem right. They
all
both
have
be right.
They have their own set of valid gains and valid disadvantages.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to actually the player's decision has weight.
Well, and the thing that really go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's Morgan and January want to blow everything up and make sure nothing gets back to Earth.
That's it.
Alex wants to preserve the neuromods, and so does Dahl.
That's not necessarily true, because that's only a specific representation of Morgan's mindset at a certain point during this.
Right.
Okay, the Morgan of January wants to blow
exactly, because equally, December could be another iteration of Morgan as well.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I think,
and you see the video with Alex too, where he's like, "Oh yeah."
I think the thing that really cemented my love for Prey is near the end, where it's before Dahl arrives, and before the snowball really starts rolling, and you're going and talk, and I think it's the last time you go to Alex's office and you watch that Looking Glass video, and it's January saying, like, look, we can't let this happen. We have to destroy all of this, even though people are going to die, even though you and all your hard work are going to disappear. We can't allow this to hit Earth. And at the same time, Alex is talking to you and saying, like, look, this isn't who you are. Like, I don't know who you are, but I lost my sister. For me, sister. The person I knew that is my sibling would have wanted to keep this around, and you wouldn't have wanted to waste your hard work. And Prey does such a good job at saying no decision is right. Both of them at the same time are pulling on your heartstrings and saying my way is right and your way is wrong. And like Nob said, it really is up to you. There isn't one decision. For me, the decision was easy, but there were points where I'm like, oh, no, maybe Alex is right. Maybe I'm not in my right mind. Maybe this isn't right. Maybe I'm under the effects of neuromods. And then it's just like, I read an email. It's like, I have to blow this thing up because I'm doing terrible things. And then I read another Alex email where it's like, no, but maybe I'm right.
Well, here's the thing. Like, you're involved in the horrible things.
You're doing this stuff.
When you're throwing people in that chamber
Yeah,
at that one
Michaela
point,
voice
and
log.
you're releasing that Weaver into that to mess with human beings. You're like, what? Like that was that was a messed up situation.
Yeah, my decision to blow up the station persisted throughout the game and got stronger every time I would read an email from Morgan, or when Danielle Show says, "Hey, can you go find what happened to my dad?" Or it was Michaela. It was Michaela.
It was Michaela. Michaela
yeah.
Nushin stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, she says, "Go find out what happened to my dad," and you find out that Morgan released.
You killed him.
Morgan released a mimic on him because he was a thing, and there's that audio log where Morgan is shut down and just doing an experiment. I'm like, I have done terrible things to people in this terrible place, and I think this place has got to go.
Yeah.
I went a different way because I saw it as more of like an advancement of the technology, and that once I did the null wave, take what we learned and move forward from it is where I saw that.
Get rid of the Typhon, which are the bad part.
Exactly. Right. You're removing the threat to continue to take what we've learned and advance it and possibly make it better.
Right.
Okay, so now that you brought that up, I blew up the station, and I stayed on the station while it blew up.
Me too.
Boston.
Nice.
Yeah, I did that. I didn't kill Alex. Alex killed January. I stayed on the station as it blew up, which was a really cool scene.
See, when I save scummed and I blew it up. Now, granted, originally, like my first my true playthrough is I did the null wave, and then listened to Alex talk about the future, which was funny. But then my save scum, when I blew it up, I got in the escape pod and got off.
Oh wow.
Nice. I stayed, and just because I hated him so much at that point, I did shotgun Alex in the face.
I didn't even realize you could. I should have, because it makes sense.
I'm not gonna lie. I was sitting there staring at him with my shotgun pointed at him, waiting for the countdown timer to go away, like to count all the way down so it will blow up.
Right.
And my wife's sitting next to me, and my wife's just like, shoot him in the face. I was like, you know what? She's absolutely 100% right. He needs to die.
I felt so badly because he sounded so defeated when he's like, "Look, if you're gonna blow up the space station, that's fine. I don't agree with it, but I'm not gonna leave. Like, it's fine." Like, that was the last straw, and he was just broken.
Yeah,
that was and I think that was to the game's benefit. At that last moment where you're there and you have Alex in January. Now, you guys didn't see the null wave. That doesn't take place in the same spot because you're up on the bridge in the captain's quarters making that decision. When you're going to release a null wave, you're down in that pit with where you have like the looking glass screen of the exterior of the hull and stuff floating around you. So that takes place in there, and because since I chose to do the null wave, Alex actually shoots the crap out of January.
On mine too, he did, yeah.
I'm like...
Yeah, he shot him at the discussion point for me. The pair of them were having the discussion over who was right, and then Alex...
And I instantly scrapped everything off of January.
Yep. Picked up some cool stuff.
Really quick for the record, by the way, when I shot Alex, an achievement popped called Push the Fat Man.
Awesome.
See,
best achievement in the game.
Now I gotta go save scum to get that one, because when I let Alex kill January, I got suicide by proxy.
Oh, I got that one really early because my wife killed January and got the achievement, so I just copied her.
I didn't get it because Alex killed January and I didn't.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I had nothing to do with it. Alex shot her with a handgun.
Well, there's a lot of interesting stuff to dig into this game, and a lot of things that I would try and do differently on another playthrough. One would definitely be how I handled Dahl, because I ran in there, he turned at me, and I blew him the F up.
I actually
he didn't have a chance to say a word, and he was dead.
I used the stun gun, and I incapacitated him, and Igwe took him off to the Neuromod division and said, like, hey man, come over to Neuromod. I didn't do it, but he said, hey man, come over to Neuromod. We're going to reprogram him, and he's going to get us the hell out of here. He's going to fly this ship, and we're going to go.
Igwe got really mad at me because at the time when I got in there, I was running low on ammo. I went in there to fix the air processors, and I snuck into the room, snuck around him because his back was to me, fixed all the air processors, but then he spotted me on the way out, so I had to shotgun him. And then Igwe immediately got in touch with me on the radio and was like, we're stuck here now, there's no way off.
Igwe, shut up, you suck.
Well, here's the thing, on my first time before I screwed up and ran myself into the side of Talos and broke myself, like that, I saved Igwe, because then I went and I saw some scrap off in the distance, and I was going a little too quick, and I was low health and wasn't paying attention, and went, dink, and I'm like, oh. When I reloaded, I blew Igwe out the airlock. Like, I opened his container and spaced him. So then I'm like, all right, well, I already got the achievement for saving him. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
And then I find out later, I'm like, oh, man.
He sucks anyway.
That's actually something I'm really interested in, is because right now, I mean, like I said, I'm on my second playthrough, and I am aiming to kill everybody right now. There is an achievement for literally you kill every single human. It can't be by the telepathic, can't be by anything like that. You have to put them down.
Yep.
So I'm going to go for that one. And there's another achievement, I think it's called Awkward Ride Home, where you finish the game having killed everybody but Alex. So you and Alex jump onto the ship, and the achievement is Awkward Ride Home, which makes me laugh so much. Just that.
I got close to killing everyone.
There's apparently 5 or 6 bonus objectives that show up at very specific points, and you have to save them people as well and kill those people as well.
Yep.
One of them is when Dahl first appears. You need to go and sort out one of those issues.
Yep.
But I'm most looking forward to my next one, where I'm going to try and save everybody, because my first playthrough I bumped into the crazy person who's the first mind control person, and I killed him because he came at me, so I had to kill him. I didn't know at that time.
His head blew up before I could even get in that room.
Yeah, me too.
He's really sensitive about it. Like, you've got to be kind of stupidly sneaky about him. But I didn't know what the taser did at that point, so I literally just popped him with the 9mm, and then found out later I could have saved him.
You can also use the stun gun on those guys, and it breaks the mind control for a little bit.
Yep, they drop unconscious.
Yeah.
See, I tried that one time, and his head still blew up. And I'm like, I'm scrapping this thing. This thing's worthless.
Yeah.
The range on it is terrible.
That was so we talked on TVGP. I think it was a week ago or so, where I was saying, I'm frustrated at people complaining about 2 points in the game where they can get around. Might as well talk about them now because we can spoil it.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about this.
First one is the nightmare, where you can create a
You have any idea how hard that was not to spoil for you?
Yeah, you can create a satellite that will draw the nightmare away or draw the nightmare to you.
Hold on.
Yes.
You can create a satellite to take the nightmare away from you.
You hack a satellite, and it gives you 2 audio logs. One gets the nightmare away from you. It makes this horrible, fax modem screeching noise. The other one will bring the nightmare to you, which is pretty helpful near the end of the game when you have all those floaty robot guys.
Handy. I didn't know about that.
You should do that one. As I think you get that the first time you fight the nightmare, or it's like you read an email pretty soon after that.
Yeah, you find the actual dongle for the satellite in
hardware labs.
In the hardware labs, it's actually in the middle of the room.
It's in the floor.
You have to fix a computer, then open the panel, and then it pulls it up.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The other one is when Dahl arrives and all those military operators come. I was frustrated because I like Prey when you're taking your time and you're exploring, and very suddenly you are being hunted and you're being killed. The great thing is, I don't know why most people didn't pay attention to it.
I did it. I think I know what you're about to say.
Yeah, you get an objective that says, hey, just deactivate your tracking bracelet. Here's the number. Go to Danielle Show's machine and pump in these numbers, and they stop tracking you. The interesting thing that's really cool about this game, Knobs and I tackled this problem differently. So
Yeah.
we both deactivated the thing. So at that point, you still have the operators around, and they'll attack you, but they don't track you anymore. But they still infinitely spawn. So what Knobs did was glue gunned them and then hacked them once they fell on the ground, and that turned them onto your side.
Yep, I did the same thing.
What I did was I used the stun gun. You shoot them 3 times, and they still have a little bit of health left. They're broken, but they don't explode. Once you do that to all, like, 4 of them in the area, they stop spawning. And they stop attacking.
That's handy.
And now at that point, you still get a little bit of stuff from them, because you can still pull the, like, Q cells and all that stuff out of them. But now they're not spawning anymore. Now you're free to wander around the area. And I get so frustrated when people say, like, oh, well, the end of this game is such a disaster because it changes significantly. No. You can mitigate this problem just like every other problem you run into.
I didn't explore the shuttle bay for that exact reason. Because at that time, I kind of was on that point where all of my side objectives were either cancelled or, not doable anymore. So at that point, I was just like, I'm just going to go for the end.
Well, you knew you were going to do multiple playthroughs anyway, so it's like, all right, let's just wrap up this first playthrough, pull the trigger, and let's do it.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Then the thing that we were with those specific operators, the military operators, where I wanted to, like, after I deactivated the bracelet, and then I tracked down who was giving the orders and locking me out of everywhere, which is the Casper operator,
right.
that had locked you out of everything, where I was just right there. I put one shot too many of him, then he blew up. I wonder what would happen if you hacked him and turned him to your side.
Does that make the
rest of those operators that would spawn would be allied to you once you hacked them? I'm thinking.
That's really interesting.
This page says it is also possible for the player to hack into Caspar and turn him into an ally. So it seems like nothing really happens. It stops hacking Talos 1, and you can finish the game at that point. Because that's your last big roadblock is Alex won't come out until you handle Caspar.
Yeah.
What a great scene back then, like when you're at that point where he comes out of his little bunker, which is
I was so mad. I was so mad.
Well hidden. It's so well hidden.
That might be actually one of my favorite scenes is when Knobs and I were talking about this, I think a week or two ago, saying, at the halfway point, you start realizing what the coral is, which watching the coral expand across the system as you're across Talos 1 as you're going back and forth through it is incredible.
And that stuff is beautiful. Let's just say that as well.
Yeah.
Like that,
it's stunning.
How they did such a good job.
Well, even that, because it interferes with the sound design. Like it has that little bit of a crackle effect, and it kind of blues out your screen a little bit as you're going through it.
Yeah. I think that what Knobs and I were really happy with when we were talking a couple weeks ago is we were both worried, and we didn't realize it, that they very quickly figure out the coral is transmitting something to somewhere. And both he and I were worried, like, they're not going to pay this off. This is not going to go anywhere. This is going to lead into another prey. And while you're talking to Alex, that apex typhon just engulfing Talos 1 is one of the coolest scenes in that game. And it's very much like, okay, that's what it was calling. Cool.
Yeah.
This is I gotta go.
I'm not gonna lie.
Problem.
At that point, I was getting swayed by Alex. At that point, Alex was starting to turn me towards the let's not blow this place up.
Yep.
The second that thing arrived, I was blowing the place up.
It's gotta go, man.
Well, no, because that's one of the scenes that we were like what Boston was just saying is while you're having that conversation with Alex, and you're like, yeah, I wonder what it is. It's like you're never gonna see what this thing is. There's gonna be a tease, and holy shit, it's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like,
oh,
it's all right. I got you.
All right.
Yeah, it's just.
I think the bleep will work effectively for that moment.
Yeah, probably. And
that's literally exactly what I said.
Yeah, me too. Or I'm just like, what's happening? Oh God. Okay, this is. And then watching the tendrils chasing you through the station, and January saying like, I don't know what'll happen when you scan those things, but don't, because it's gonna hurt.
It's not them that he's talking about. He's talking about the thing itself. Because those things are called tentacles, and you can't scan them.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood that.
He comes over and he says, whatever you do, don't scan the apex, because all my simulations lead to pain.
Yeah.
And at that point, I kind of wanted to turn around and scan it.
Yeah.
Just to see what would happen.
I never made it back out into space when that thing happened.
I think you can.
There's still a couple airlocks open. There's still a couple airlocks open that you can get out.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like rolling the dice.
Yeah, I didn't want to really fight that thing.
But yeah, that whole scene was just because it happened so immediately. What I thought was a great way to pay off, and I'm really glad that the game didn't go down the route of Atlas and BioShock,
right?
Because I was really concerned by like completely or continually communicating with Alex that he was going to be this neuromodded up boss at the end of this thing.
Right. Right. And it turns out he's still a normal dude.
Right. It still was a normal character, and a very compelling character towards the end there that was really surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the fact that I can't remember the actor's name. I just call him Beyonce from Doctor Strange, because he's the librarian in Doctor Strange. Who has all the books, and he makes a Beyonce joke with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the fact that the game design has his office be in that beautiful place, and then the best game design being the room with all the glass is where you are standing when that thing appears.
Yeah.
Because then you immediately get the idea that the Apex is not just a regular Typhon. This thing is bigger than the station.
Yeah.
Like, it's
you can
giving you
through the
old
arboretum, you can
hug.
see the whole thing, and it's just like this is genuinely, engulfing this station.
Because that's the thing that was very impressive. Like being out in space, you really get the size of the area you're in, and it didn't feel like there was a wasted space in that game.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought the looking glass effect was amazing.
Still so cool.
Like, even though that's something, I mean, that seems something very plausible that could be done now,
right?
With how things could possibly be rendered into 3D space. Like one of my favorite scenes in that game was when you're down in the tech lab with the looking glass experiment thing.
Yes, I didn't know. My wife showed me this.
Where you have the 3 panes at different areas, and you're trying to watch this conversation. You could hear it in every one of them, but sometimes they're not framed in it until you move around to find them in space.
Oh wow! I never did that.
Which was incredible.
That actually makes me think. We talked about Dr. Calvino's mug.
Yep.
The puzzle with his mug. You can see him open the safe in one of those side-looking glasses.
Oh, that's so cool!
I never did this thing
with the mug.
I never did this thing with Calvino's mug. What's this about?
He has a special mug which he had made, and there is a place, like if you watch his Looking Glass videos, like when he's talking, the exact place Nobs is talking about, there's 3 of them in a triangle, and as you go around, you see him go up to a section of wall, put something in the wall, and then the wall closes, and he has a mug and a special weight made. The mug weighs exactly what's
you set the mug on the panel, and it opens this little slide thing.
I didn't put that together with those emails.
Yeah,
that's smart.
He has a mug that weighs exactly this amount because, so cool. quote unquote, his frail old hands can't handle anything heavy.
Yeah,
and then he has someone else make a pressure switch, which only activates under that exact same weight.
Prey is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I thought was one of the longer storylines that I thought was really good in Prey was the cook. Which I didn't. I
never found him.
What's that?
Oh, really?
I found him, but then after I escaped the kitchen, I didn't go back and find him. I kind of trotted along the main story path a little bit,
payoff,
and then by the time Yeah, by the time I got
couldn't
to
kill that dude
point,
fast enough.
Well, the thing that I thought was really cool is when the cook locked me in the freezer and he turned on me, I was like, you know what? That dude that volunteer that was locked up that I freed warned me about this dude, and I forgot about it. And he turned on me.
I did not even make that connection.
Yeah, he said, like, hey, there's another volunteer in here, real big dude, and he's real nasty. If you see him, don't mess with him at all. Just kill him.
I didn't make that connection.
I didn't either until I got locked in and he turned, and I was like, it's that dude, son, come on. I should have seen this coming.
At that point, so much stuff has happened that you should have paid attention to. Like you are in... I think another thing to the game's credit is it created so much chaos for you to keep track of.
Yeah.
There wasn't one thread that you were following to its conclusion in each point. Like, it was about 9 of them at the same time, and they're each tying off at different points.
Well, and then I love the cook taunting you throughout the rest of the game until he goes in hiding in that one escape shuttle and leaving those traps everywhere.
Yes.
Like, as soon as you get sucked in by that first trap, you're like, okay, I need to look for those. The second one, you're like, I should have looked for that. It was on the elevator. It looks like the same one. I shouldn't have gotten killed by that.
The only one that almost got me was the one in his pod. And now that I'm thinking about playing this game more critically again, is because I think I read that the disruptor can stop that thing from going off.
That would make sense.
It's also cool. With, like, I don't think they go off unless you activate what they're attached to as well. So I just rip them off the wall.
Except for that last one.
Yeah, that last one you can't get close enough to hack it in time.
He sets it off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get to that point.
So I'm wondering if you hit it with the disruptor and disable it before it goes off, that you can save him and lock him into that escape pod.
Interesting.
Did you bash the 2 people that were in the escape pod into the escape pod tunnel?
No, I didn't figure out where the controls were.
That was awesome.
They
were in a little panel, like the window side. There's a panel that rolls up that you can actually launch them out of it.
That's one of my favorite side stories about Prey, is that none of the escape pods work. They're all broken.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of audio logs that are like, these things don't... Where are the buttons in this thing that don't work?
It's one got away. One did successfully get away.
Oh, yeah.
Because there is a panel that you can mess with. I believe it's on the bridge that is in the middle of tracking an escape pod on its way to Seattle, I believe, to land safely.
Oh,
and you have the choice to blow it up.
Well, no, there's I think 2 or 3 of them that are actually floating around Talos that have crashed out of it.
Yeah. They almost made it off station. The thing that I really liked about Prey when I finished it was my brain immediately went into, okay, if I play through this again, what's the path of neuromods that I pick to have the easiest path through the game, like without breaking it? Like, Knobs watched a video of tips where it's like, if you get leverage 1, you throw stuff into leverage 3 stuff and it knocks it down. It's like, okay, cool. So all right, so I can save 10 points that I can put into something else. So how do I min-max my skills? And that sounds so exciting to me.
Yeah, because according to that video, you can literally scoop up 23 neuromods before you watch that first video with Morgan.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Just to jump back on like the side stories really quick. A minor mark against the game for me personally, because I hate the fact that I love the representation in the fact that the 2 Morgans are Asians.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic.
Yep.
I hate the fact that they've gone with the stereotypical Asian parent trope, where Morgan accuses of Alex of not wanting to stop because he's going to disappoint their parents.
Yeah.
And then literally the parents get
no
involved.
one wants to disappoint their parents. Stop it.
The parents get involved when the children have brought shame upon the family.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't... Maybe it was just my playthrough, but I feel like they didn't lean on that too hard. They
didn't too much.
I felt
it
like
just feels a little stereotypical.
They were addressing it more as chairman of the board. Like,
yes.
I can't let this secret and terrible thing we've been doing on Talos 1 that has been benefiting the richest of Earth, because the game was very clear about, like, there are haves and have-nots with neuromods. If you can afford them, the gap between the rich and poor keep widening because of neuromods, and I feel like
and
it was
if you
very
don't
much
have that condition as well.
Yeah,
well, it's like the same. There's like the moral argument with what they call designer babies. Like it's playing that arc out along the same arc where you should or should not meddle. Like this game is really good.
Yeah,
well, I would love. I was just gonna say I would love to give them mad props for the Daniel Show storyline.
Yeah,
that relationship is built so well. They have their ups, their downs. It's all captured, like the apology notes that are scrumpled up and then thrown to the side while they're
playing D&D.
Yeah, the D&D game, the like getting in there and finding the flowers and the gifts and the one with the emails and the apologies and
knocking on that window to get Danielle to come see you.
Yeah,
and she's immediately just like, "Oh, Abigail's dead, isn't she?"
Yeah, like she
and
immediately
you can hear
knows
in
what
her
happens.
voice. Mm-hmm.
And she's running out of air, which is terrible. So I think the only thing we haven't talked about yet is actually the epilogue. I thought the credit sequence was cool, where it's just one shot of Talos descending into Typhon craziness. And I know a lot of people are sort of poo-pooing the epilogue because they're pissed off at the game snowballing. That's unfair. We're going to sort of be ignoring that viewpoint here. I wasn't super surprised that it was a simulation, because I feel like the further you get in, you were getting pulled out of the simulation a little bit, and you saw the multiple operators, and then you got put back under. So you can sort of tell, like, okay, maybe this isn't...
I did not connect that dot at all.
I started figuring out, like, well, something isn't right. Like, either I'm getting pulled out of, like, a neuromod, like I'm getting re-wiped again, or there's something going on. But I really loved the reveal when you have the number of operators there in Alex. The first option is, if you do enough bad stuff, Alex kills you outright. You don't get a lot of dialogue, you don't get any choices.
Yeah, number, by the way, it's the number that shows up when you get to that point. It tells you what ending you got. It will say LGV 3 point something. That last number tells you what ending you got. I think it's like 0, 1, and 5 is the three numbers that you can get.
There's basically like it's not a karma system, I forget what it's called, but it's as long as you get 4 or more points in this system by doing good enough stuff, then the game will give you the choice at the ending. I really loved when Alex turns you around in that chair. I thought it was going to be like there was a mirror over there, and it's like, look at what you are.
So did I.
But they showed Earth covered in coral, and I was just like, crap.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's what was surprising between when I did the save scum and whatnot, that it happens regardless whether you destroy Talos or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all a morality test, essentially, to figure out if they have succeeded.
Well, I like the
in bonding the two species. But I look down at my hands and I'm like, whoa,
you could see the Typhon in your fingertips. Like, it keeps flowing.
I like the line that Alex said was, we kept trying to put you into us. This is our experiment to put us into you. And I thought that was... knowing what you know about the neuromods, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this on the show proper. I text you guys what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be that, but literally it was the quote-unquote bad ending, which made me think that way.
The quit and the escape pod ending?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that one. Because that takes you out of the simulation entirely. It gives you a much clearer view of the operators and Alex standing there.
Yeah.
And then that made me start questioning everything. And then I started to think about everything that I'd experienced. And it's how much pressure all of the four main people, Michaela, Igwe, Daniel Show, and Alex, like they all put you, and January, they put you under so much pressure about saving people.
Yeah.
Like,
which is a surprising thread with that, because I didn't put that together, because I like playing stuff dumb, like going into it and experience everything that's there, which making everything a surprise, which gives you a better experience. But with playing games of the same ilk, you're always questioning what these people's motives are. Like I said, like I kept looking for Atlas in this game.
Well, you keep trying to figure out what is the would you kindly of Prey, because the two games very clearly share a lot of DNA that benefits Prey greatly, because they very much learned of the problems of BioShock 1. Even in development, Arcane made both Dishonored games and BioShock 2. I love BioShock 2 because it took gameplay of BioShock 1 and fixed the story problems.
Yes, the end of BioShock 2, I know we're talking about Prey, the end of BioShock 2, I always say to people, you should play BioShock 2.
Yep.
Just for the story, because the end of that game has one of the best perspective shifts I've ever experienced 100%. In my life.
It's incredible.
Okay, I still haven't finished it.
No, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a part near the end of BioShock 2 where they do a perspective shift, and it's just like, this is.
Yeah, it is the Would You Kindly moment of BioShock 2, and I honestly think it is better than Would You Kindly.
So, and I think the thing that Prey benefits so much from is you can see the ramp up to Prey, where it's like, okay, we've got the level design down, we've got this down, now we know how to tell a better story that is going to pull you along and push you in two directions at the same time, all the way up until the very end. And I think Prey is so great, I think, because it actually tells a compelling story in a first-person shooter, which has not happened in a really long time. And going back to look at BioShock, it's sort of like they tried, but they dropped the ball pretty hard, and Prey learned so much from that and did it right.
I mean, the thing is like you get all the Telltale games which are 100% story. Let's face it. The Minecraft game, you can't even die on. Like, that game just continues. At the end of all of those episodes, and same with Life is Strange, they give you a bunch of decision points and say, X amount of people pick this, X amount of people pick that. And almost always, it's 75%, 25%.
Yeah.
70,
good choice,
30.
Bad choice.
Yeah, this feels like it genuinely could be a 50-50 split if you took everybody who played this game and asked them. I think you would get as close to 50-50 as you can get, because they do such a good job of both sides, like Nob said.
Yeah.
Both sides are presented so strongly as valid options.
Yep.
Right. They found a way to make it like almost a moral decision across the board. Like It was brilliant. It was an experience I was not expecting.
And you actually have to choose. The game at no point is like, hey, by the way, remember that Looking Glass video from the beginning? No, you actually have to blow up the station. The brilliance of Prey is you're making so many small decisions throughout the game you don't realize you're making, because there's no dialogue wheel. It's like, do you space Igwe or not? Like, do you save Danielle Sho or not? Do you give Michaela her medicine, or do you not care? Like, there's all these cool decisions.
Right, it gives you that stuff. It gives you those, and exactly. That's what it gives you. It gives you brilliantly. It doesn't let you know you're making a decision until you've made it.
You're just doing what you want. You're doing what you want to do, or what you think is right in this instance. And there could be 4 different paths, but you're gonna make your decision. And I think that makes Prey so much more powerful and so much more interesting.
Yeah, it's
one of the best first playthroughs I've ever had.
Yep.
I mean, like you guys are talking about, it's the train question. Like, the train question of, this train is heading down a track. It will hit 5 people, and it will hit 1 person.
I didn't put that
Do you want to switch the track over and hit the 1 person, or let it stay on track and hit the 5 people? I let it hit the 5 people because there was 4 people stranded while I was getting hunted by Dahl. There was 4 people stranded and 1 person who needed help in the lobby. I didn't go and rescue them. I let that train stay on its track so I could go and deal with Dahl, the one person on the other side of the track.
Right.
Like,
I'd jump on the track. save everybody.
Yeah.
But, you know, it, like you said, like, it doesn't present these things as choices. It's not an ABC. It's not a dialogue wheel. It's a play the game. Here are quote-unquote optional quests. And how you play it and how you choose to do them or not do them in whatever case, that's your choices. Yeah. It just doesn't come up and say, the Typhon will remember this in the top left corner.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Prey is going to be one of those games that, personally, I try and push for. If you like video games and you want to play not only a great story but a game that builds a good world and tells a compelling story through your actions and through a lot of the optional stuff, play Prey and don't read about it. Prey, I think, is a great game if you know, like, oh, there's the Typhon and there's all this stuff. Going into Prey as blind as possible is going to be my recommendation because, like Knob said, when he started playing it and what he encouraged Moon and I when he purchased it for us is just play it. Just sit down and play it and don't look at anything because it is a genuine pleasant surprise to play a game like that you haven't had spoiled through trailers or you haven't seen 300 screenshots since E3 or any of that stuff.
Well, no, and even the enemy type, like, I knew you were fighting some inky black things. I didn't know they were going to mimik into stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was honestly, I didn't know it was in space.
I didn't either. So you walk out in the lobby, like you said a couple weeks ago, and it's just space out there, and it's like, wait, where am I?
Yeah, it was like It was like what was that? It was like playing Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein: the New Order, where you end up on the moon. You're like, holy crap, I'm on the moon.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we all three of us have I would say a higher tolerance for quote-unquote bad games than the majority of players or / critics.
We love the bad and broken.
Yes. The bastion of sick and weary.
I think the Alpha Protocols of the world will always be loved by us.
Yep.
I think this game is being unfairly to the highest order lambasted for reasons it doesn't need to be for. Yep. That wasn't a swear. Don't write that time down.
No, I got it. I'm scratching my arm. See?
Okay. I think it is unfairly being criticized so much harsher, whether that's because it's got the Prey name on it, whether that's because it's, because they don't pay attention to the objective markers and they get confused, and rather than just take a minute, they're trying to power through it. Especially considering this comes from Bethesda, I can understand their frustration. They get it release day, they need a review as soon as possible.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I can understand where they're coming from. If it can get the fan support, I honestly could see this going down as one of the seminal games of the current generation.
100%.
It could very easily be a definer for this generation of consoles.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the video reviews that I've been watching of this, because like I'm just curious what some critics and whatnot think of games that I like, and not the satirical ones like what's that one where that guy zero punctuation, where he's just gonna rip a game regardless.
Yeah.
Outside of Painkiller is the only thing I agree with him on.
Right.
That they just don't get it. Like, they start making, like, everyone starts making the Prey jokes and praying and all this other stuff, and it's like they didn't really get the point of what this game was really trying to convey, which was frustrating on my part for a game that I really enjoyed. And them seeming like it didn't really spend time in it enough.
Yeah, like Prey isn't a game. Prey isn't a first-person shooter. It's kind of an adventure game. You shoot stuff in. You have to drink it in. Like, it's not a game you go from main objective from one to the other. If you're having problem, like one of my recommendations for people is like if you feel pulled by the main objectives, turn them off. Just wander around and pick stuff up and read emails. Like, live in Talos 1 for a little bit because it's gonna pay off much more than anything else.
And that was a surprising thing that, like, I wanted to explore everything, and then once I learned I could turn some of these objective markers off and focus on a task, then everything and exploring stuff on the way, man, it was, that place was fascinating to try and get in every little nook and cranny in that whole place.
And always paid off. You never went in, you never spent time to get into a room by going around it, and there wasn't anything in there.
Like, and taking the time to use the Nerf gun to get into spots because you know what? You need what's in there. You need that ammo. Yeah. You need those things. Like those neuromods are going to come up
or
in
the
spades
area map.
Later. Yes.
You know, something. All right. So
like, I mean,
we're heading
I was
to...
just going to say...
Oh, go ahead.
How handy the Nerf gun is, by the way. I downloaded a map from a closed wall and a doorway.
Yeah.
Like, I bounced a Nerf gun dart through like a little cache window.
Yep.
Off that onto a computer, opened up the utilities menu, hit it again, and landed on the download map button, and it downloaded from miles away.
Yeah.
I was like, that's cool. I just got the map. That's really awesome.
There was one time I was really playing with that thing, and I was trying to get in this one security section where I had to go to the arc through the little security window to go through it to land on the screen, but I couldn't see what I was hitting. And then it got to the point where I was exploring. I'm like, oh my god, I found this body and I found this grate that I could pick up with leverage 3, and you get down, there's a security card, and then I go in and pick up my 50 Nerf bullets that I shot in this room.
I love when you step near them as well, they squeak.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So since we're at about an hour now, so let's wrap it up. Anybody have any... I feel like we've kind of wrapped up our thoughts about this. Anybody have any kind of last closing arguments, I guess, to be a little...
Play it on easy. Even if you like it. Even if you like a challenge, like you can get through it. Like Nob said, he brute forced it with shotgun and combat focus. In the end, so did I. That's how I got through my original playthrough.
Yep.
Play it on easy because I'm on my second playthrough now. I'm not using neuromods, and it is a breeze on easy when you know you don't have to worry about constantly dying. I mean, if you wanted the challenge, play it on normal by all means. Embrace the fact that you can literally attack enemies from 27 different angles.
Right.
If it's bothering you, easy. If it's annoying you, easy. Just switch it down to easy.
There's no consequences.
Exactly.
No. Yeah. No, even on easy, it's still going to present you with a challenge because there are certain boss or certain enemy types that are going to be challenging no matter what level you're playing on. They're just the degree of lethality to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as parting shots for me, this game was an unbelievable surprise.
Yeah.
And and again, the only reason why I picked it up is because it came with a steel book. is the reason why I bought this game and ended up being this beautiful game. Man, I cannot express how great Talos looked.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a big fan of world building, and if the world meets the narrative on the same level, it is something special.
Yeah.
Because everything in that game, every area is designed well. Everything has its place. The roadblocks it puts in front of you are legitimate and not just BS that you can't get in there. You just need to find a new way to get in there.
Yeah.
It's very much lateral thinking as well in that aspect.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not linear, and I think much to the game culture as a default, we're all trained to go from point A to point B to point C to point D.
Yeah.
Where this game is actually pushing you, instead of going from point A to point B, you're going to point E.
Yeah.
And then backtracking to see to go back and get point B that leads to point F. Like, it's a lot of jumping around, but it's also it makes the narrative work in such a special way, like we were talking earlier about presenting you with decisions without the forefront that you're doing something that's going to have a consequence.
Yeah.
Like, you puts you in that moment to make that decision on the spot.
Yeah.
Which is something that games have kind of gotten away from with a dialogue wheel. Is this good, bad, or neutral? You don't have that option. You have this is something that's happening. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, really quick, my final thing as well, sorry, is that ending that we discussed where you come out and you're faced by the operators. I really loved that aspect of them judging you based on how you acted throughout the course of the game. Like, I killed Alex, and Alex, like, what, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Daniel Show turned around and says to him, "He killed you, Alex," and Alex responded with, "Oh, okay. I would have killed me too right then."
Yeah, I was being a bit of a jerk.
I would have done that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Prey is really something special, and I think the biggest thing I can say is it's in contention to be number 1 this year. Probably across all three of us. So it has a chance of being TVGP's game of 2017.
It's... I mean, man... Words are lost on me trying to figure any, like... I'm not speaking from hyperbole when I'm saying this might be one of the best games I have ever played.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite games.
Yeah,
just
easily
of all time. It's that good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, everyone, for listening or watching. If you're watching the video version, we don't do these all that often, but we make sure we do them for special games, and Prey is no exception. You can listen to all the other Spoilercasts at tvgp.tv.
I smell like a cedar cabinet. I don't know what this is. It's something. This shirt has been in the thing for too long.
Maybe you're a mimic. Maybe that's what mimics smell like.
Maybe it smells like a fresh closet.
Yeah, and I hope you join us for another Spoilercast next time.
See ya.
See ya. Still not a mimic.
All right. Thanks for watching the video, everyone. Bye.